I'm doing this because my hands are so incredibly pasty that I cannot show you them. I can't do it. Self-tanner does not stay on my hands. I'll show you. Self-tanner does not stay on my hands, and so my hands are really white. Oh my god. But we're going to ignore it like we do every other video because they're never the same color as my face. I am back, and I actually saw a TikTok the other day that inspired this video. I'm not going to include the TikTok in this video because I wanted to put it in my next TikTok video, which will be next week. But I'm going to summarize the TikTok for you so you're not like, how did you get here? Basically, this girl made a TikTok. She had a couple of friends over and her roommate had gone to bed. At some point, her friends go home and her roommate wakes up in the middle of the night and there's somebody in their kitchen, living room, somewhere in their house. She assumes it's her other roommate's friend, the girl who's telling the story's friend, and she asks them what they're doing and if they're so-and-so's friend, and they go, yeah. She ends up going back to bed, and the person who's telling the story wakes up in the middle of the night to this random person in their bedroom. And so I tried to look up home invasion TikToks, and I was going to make a whole video dedicated to that, but I couldn't really find anything, so I decided to look up home invasion stories. And that's what we're doing today. I will have the article linked down below because I'm not going to read every single story, there's a lot. But the article says 18 people describe terrifying home invasions they live to tell about. But this first story says, outnumbered at gunpoint. When I was 4, my parents worked long hours at a restaurant. They left my brother to babysit me until 10 to 10:30 p.m. at night. He's 8 years older than me, so 12 years old at the time. Every night when my parents come home, they'll ring the bell and I'll run to greet them at the door with my brother. One day, the bell rings, and when I open the door, instead of my parents, it's 4 guys standing there. They have guns and tell my brother and me to go downstairs and watch the TV as one of the guys stands guard over us. They let me sit there, but they tie my brother up using his Nintendo cords. I remember going to tug at the cords at my brother's wrist. I wasn't trying to untie them, it was more out of curiosity. And the guy actually pointed his gun at me and told me to stop. When they finish going through the house, they tie us both to a beam and leave. After a little while, my brother wiggled out from the bindings and my parents came home. Cops were called and info was given to the police. They got a few pieces of jewelry and a camcorder. This next one says, when the burglar made himself at home. When I was about 4, we were broken into twice. The first time, my grandfather and mom had been grocery shopping. We arrived home and unlocked the front door, and one of the bedroom doors up the passageway slammed shut from the change in air pressure. My grandfather must have sensed something was up and ran up the passageway to the bathroom. Window was open, curtains swinging in the breeze, and nobody to be found. They figured he mustn't have been there long before they arrived home, as nothing in the house was touched or taken. The second time was 3 months later. My mom woke up to someone sitting on the bed with a knife in his hand at 3 a.m. Mom says she froze. Couldn't talk, couldn't move, completely petrified. She said he was mumbling, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. The next door neighbor's dog barked, and he just stood up and walked out. She heard the back sliding door open, and a minute or so later, the line of light shining through the curtains from the streetlight was blinked out. She grabbed the phone and called my grandfather. All she said was, there was someone in the house. He lived about 5 minutes away with her 3 younger teenage brothers. In less than 5 minutes, they pulled in the driveway and scattered just around the house, all barefoot, wearing only their underwear. Every single door was unlocked, and the back door was open. Nobody to be seen. Mom was a mess. There were big muddy footprints in the laundry room under the little window she left open for the cat. It took a few days for all the weird things this creep had done to be discovered. Fed the cat and poured her a bowl of milk, poured whiskey out of the decanter in the living room and added ice and Coke to it, ate the leftover roast meat out of the fridge, cut up some catalog that was sitting on the bench, took a photo of the stovetop and another one of me sleeping on my mom's camera and left it sitting next to my bed. Tipped salt into mom's shoes. The knife was out of my mom's block in the kitchen. They never found it. Just really weird shit. The cops came, got plenty of fingerprints, but whoever it was didn't have a record. The consensus, eventually, a couple of years later, was that it was an acquaintance of one of my brothers. It was a bit of a game of telephone conclusion, though. He'd said X and Y to person A, who told B, etc., etc. It got back to mom's brother. He was eventually locked up on some sort of psychiatric hold for something unrelated and was never charged with the break-in. Messed my mom up for a lot of years. This next one says, trapped in the closet. I go and walk my dog around the house pretty late at night, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Maybe not the safest thing, but I live in the woods and away from people. Anyways, I start walking downstairs and notice my sister's door is open and the light is on. It struck me as odd considering she moved out 6 years ago and nobody ever goes in there. I walk in to turn the light off and close the door and I see a man trying to hide behind the closet door. It's broken, filled with boxes, so there was no way he could really hide from me. I act like I didn't see him and I went and grabbed my shotgun from the other room, went back in and told him not to move or I would fucking kill him. He jumped out from the closet and took off running as fast as he could, right past me, into the garage and out into the woods. I could have shot him, but I didn't. I saw his face. A few days earlier, he knocked on my door claiming to know my neighbor and said he was looking for copper to sell, asked if I knew or had any old copper he could have. I gave him a few old car batteries I had, and that was that. He said he had 2 daughters he was trying to take care of. I didn't call the cops, but that's the extent of my mercy. If he came back the next night, he was dead. This next one says, knives in the bedroom, ready for attack. Our house was broken into when I was a kid. We were on vacation at the time, but came home immediately. I remember the house being a complete mess. My father owns a business, and at the time had just upgraded his home office to the new Windows 95 computers, and an office of the 90s was a gold mine for home thieves. The cops told us it was probably 5 or 6 pros who promptly left when they heard on their police scanner that our new neighbor had called it in. The most startling part was finding kitchen knives in all of our bedrooms, knowing they had watched us for some time to know our schedule, and finding weapons that the police confirmed were probably to be used if someone was home keeps me up at night 20 years later. Okay, and this next one says, caught in the nude. One night, about 7 years ago, I moved into my new home. The neighborhood was a good place, no major crime. About 2 months after I moved in, I hear a huge bang at 2 a.m. at the door and then a loud redneck voice. I'm in bed, I sleep, nude, by the way. My first reaction is to grab the sword near my bed and charge into the living room yelling. The look on the guy's face was priceless. A 300-plus-pound nude guy with a sword yelling at the top of his lungs, charging him. He got the fuck out, ASAP, tripping over himself and fell in the yard while running. Called the cops, put on some pants, and I'm waiting on the cops to get to me. Once they arrived, they'd already had someone in custody, so I'm trying to break into another home down the street. I confirmed it was him. Once trail came and pasted, found out he was on meth, looking for an abandoned lot to crash in. Okay, and then this one is called Frozen in Place. In 2003, I had just turned 18 and was kicked out of my house. I worked night shifts at McDonald's and moved into an old house, basement suite, with a guy friend. I slept during the day, obviously, since I did night shift. Anyway, one day, about late morning, my roommate was at work and I was in bed. I could hear an engine outside and then someone flicking around the front door. Somehow they had broken in. I could hear them quickly and frantically moving around. I was completely frozen. I literally could not move. I decided to just keep lying there, facing the wall, not making a sound. Then my heart dropped. I heard my bedroom door open. I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. I heard silence for a couple seconds, then footsteps running out the door. As soon as I heard my front door close and the engine start, I ran out and saw a van speeding away. By the way, they stole absolutely nothing. We have nothing of value. My bedroom was a mattress on the floor and a tiny closet area. The bathroom window burglar. My mom called me absolutely hysteric one day. She said a man had tried to come in through our bathroom window. It was Saturday at 1 p.m. and I was out shopping. I came home immediately and the police were there along with our neighbor. Apparently he had broken into the neighbor's house while she was out. He hadn't stolen anything except for a few DVDs and some of her clothes. He then left and came over to our house. We had our bathroom window open with the screen shut, so all I had to do was cut the screen to get inside. He was hoisting himself into the window when my mom walked in. She freaked out and screamed, and he fell. She said he took off after that towards our backyard. Turns out he was a kleptomaniac and had the urge. The worst part is that it's been 3 years and my mom is still extremely paranoid. She watches people walking down the street like a hawk and accuses them of scoping out our house. That would be me though, I'm not kidding. Like when I don't know how old I was, doesn't matter. I have a whole story time about this. It was back when I lived at my dad's house. My car, it's a whole long story, but basically someone was like vandalizing my car every single night and I was so paranoid. Every time I heard even the smallest little bang or clash, I would just stare out my window for like hours. I am the most paranoid person. If someone ever broke into my house, I would never feel safe again. And people have broken into my house and I don't feel safe. So what am I talking about? Not this house. Nobody's broken into this house, but like my dad's house, it got broken into twice, I think. And then this one says a 3-day stakeout. These are crazy, by the way. This didn't happen to me, but happened to one of my family friends. I'll call him Jake. Jake went away to Thailand for a few weeks, the whole family including him, his brother's girlfriend, and his parents. Jake was in university at the time and had some assignments he had to finish, so he returned earlier than the rest of the family. When he got there, one of the cars was missing and the house was turned inside out. They had opened all the vents, turned over all the furniture and rugs, emptied out anything that could have had something inside, like drawers, pots, boxes. All the valuables were gone. Jewelry, games, electronics, etc. He called the cops and everyone else came back from their holiday immediately. Turns out his brother's girlfriend had made a post on Facebook about going away. Someone saw it and decided they would take their car, scope out the place, and spend the next 3 fucking days hanging out there and stealing all their shit. Okay, this next part doesn't really make sense. I'm gonna read it verbatim. Jake's parents are lawyers, so he had access to some kid of record that helped him find out something to be able to find them on Facebook. I don't know, lawyer shit, and actually found it. I think he's talking about they found the person, I don't know. The guy posted a photo of him and his girlfriend. She was wearing Jake's mother's one-of-a-kind necklaces with their stolen car in the background. The police did shit all. Turns out all the suspects they had were the same ones Jake had found, and they had criminal records of robbery and assault and whatever else, yet still nothing was done. I can't remember what happened with their insurance exactly. I don't think it covered everything, and not to mention all the fucking cleaning they had to do. This next one says, fuck meth. My dad dated a sketchy woman. Her family was highly involved in the Mexican cartels. Don't ask for specifics because I don't have them. Anyways, before he went to prison, related to her, she passed away in his arms after a suspicious auto crash. He lost his sanity. It was my dad, my cousin, and my 17-year-old self living in our apartment. After she passed, her sister started spending a lot of time around the apartment. Nothing good to be said about that. She went a bit loopy, stole some of our belongings, including my most prized earthly possession at the time, a PlayStation Portable, and then disappeared. Dad goes to prison, leaving just my slightly older cousin and me living in the apartment. My cousin and I lost our jobs at the same subcontracting company. He then thought it best to get into what landed my father in corrections. Nothing good to be said about that. His girlfriend picks him up to take a day business trip roughly 120 miles away. I'm 18, I'm alone. Electricity is shut off. I don't even have my goddamn PlayStation to pass the time. I smoke a blunt, I nap, wake up around 9 p.m. My cousin should be back. My cousin hasn't called. My cousin's kind of a dick. I smoke some more. Knock, knock. Thank fucking God, he's been gone quite long enough. Knock, knock. Great, he's in a mood, and I'm too high to be fucked with. Bang, 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 bang. I look out the peephole. No electricity means no porch light. The large figure looks like him. The smaller feminine build is his girlfriend. She's so nasty. I unbolt the door. Why is the door now swinging into my nose? That really hurts. Actually, fuck my cousin. Did I mention he's a dick? That's not my cousin. That's the barrel of a Beretta M9. That's the sister of my dad's dead girlfriend. Suddenly, I'm sober. Who are these two Mexican men with her and why are they armed? What has my cousin gotten into? Mind racing, vomit gurgling, vomit coming up. What a comical sight that would be. Exorcism vomit drenching all three of them. Only it's not vomit. Words, instead, are about to be expelled with a sloppy, numb tongue and a mind that doesn't quite know what these words will be. Where the fuck is my PlayStation, you crazy bitch? They're going to kill me. They'll shoot me dead. Instead, she ignores it. She wants to know where her baby stroller is. One of the men wants to take my cat with them. My mouth continues to try and get me killed. They'll find no stroller. This bitch is crazy. Does she even have kids? Fade to black. I woke up to find the apartment demolished. My ass had been kicked along with the rest of my body. Our car was gone. The end. I know that's a traumatizing story, absolutely traumatizing, but I absolutely love the way that you wrote it. I love the way that you wrote it. It makes it funny, but it shouldn't be funny at all. I'm gonna read two more. This next one says, The Motel Scare. When I was about 8 years old, my family and I were away on holiday staying at a motel. My parents had their own room, my sister was in the single bedroom, and I was on a little fold-out bed in the living room. My parents went to bed early, telling me to lock the sliding door before I went to bed, and my sister went to bed shortly after. I forgot to lock it and went to sleep in my fold-out bed located in front of the door. Next morning I woke up, my parents' wallets, a bag, and some cash were gone. A robber came in through the door, stepped over me while I was sleeping, went into my sister's room, stole her bag, then went into my parents' room, stole wallets and cash from the bedside table, then walked back over me on their way out. Scary to think what he would have done if any of us had woken up, but couldn't sleep for a week after that, and I've always been conscious about locking doors. And then this last one says, The Social Media Hack. A friend on Facebook was posting while on vacation. She was talking all about their plans, the fun they had, and the photos they took. This was a 1 to 2 week Disney vacation, so it meant that she still had some money somewhere. I don't know what they mean by that. It was at least 5 or 6 posts a day. She came back from vacation and her house had been robbed. Someone broke a window and ransacked the place, taking a lot of her daughter's expensive birthday gifts. One of the cops asked her whether or not she had a lot of social media, and she finally realized the robbers look at your social media and see when you're gone. I have never thought about it like that. Like when I was in high school, me and my friends would put our location wherever we were. And I never realized how dumb that was. We would be going here at my house and tag the location. And I'm like, why did we do that? Why did we do that? I feel like we were just young and dumb. But my profile was always private. But still, if I was going on vacation with my family and then people saw that, they could just break into my house. I don't know. That is all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. These stories are crazy. My house getting broken into is a huge fear of mine. I feel like it's a huge fear for everybody. And I'm glad that nobody in the stories got hurt. Very glad about that. Glad they're here to tell the tale. And I'm already very paranoid about locking all my doors. Like, I don't even go into my backyard, but I will double check this door every single night to make sure it is locked. Even though I don't leave, I don't go out there. But I am gonna triple check now. I already double check, I'm gonna triple, quadruple check because I'm gonna be paranoid for the rest of my life. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I will have the article linked down below if you want to read the other stories. I only read about half. There were 18. Don't know how many right here. There's probably a solid 8 left. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. You guys, oh my god, I had the most traumatic day on Monday. So I got a card in the mail about my cats having vet appointments. And I was like, this seems weird because last time I took Nar and Rebel to the vet, they said they wouldn't have to see them for a couple of years. And so I was like, definitely hasn't been a couple of years, but I'm just gonna listen to what the vet says. So I scheduled Rumble on Monday and Nar on Thursday. And on Monday, I'm trying to get Rumble into the carrier and it is physically impossible. Like, I am wrestling my cat into the carrier. It was Brittany, I told Brittany about it and she was like, I would have paid to see that go down. So I'm like trying to wrestle Rumble into his carrier and he won't go in, and then he gets away from me because he hates being held anyways. And then when you're trying to force him into a tiny box, he gets upset. So he runs underneath my bed and I'm like, that's probably smart. So long story short, I eventually get Nar into the carrier and I call the vet and Nar is screaming in the carrier. And I'm like, hey, is it okay if I bring Nar in today and bring Rumble on Thursday? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So Nar is the worst. I hate bringing Nar to the vet. It is the worst experience ever. I cry every single time because he is so dramatic. He screams bloody murder. He screams at the top of his lungs while we're in the car. And then we get to the vet and he's dead silent. So I bring Nar to the vet. I'm gonna try to get through this story very quickly because it's not that necessary. I don't even have to tell this. This is stupid. I get Nar to the vet and we do everything with the vet tech, and then the doctor comes in or the vet comes in and she fucking tells us that he's not even due yet. He's not due until next year for his vaccines and they accidentally sent it out. And I was like, I went through this whole thing for him to not have to do anything. Like, he doesn't have to be here. Oh my god. It was horrible. It was horrible. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw on my story, I posted like the whole thing on my story because I was so upset. But yeah, so Monday was not very fun at all. Not at all. But I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much. Okay. See ya.